We're about 3 weeks away before we find out who is in the cast. So far, there's nothing extra to talk about when it comes to BB-27. There were some teasers from their account that they would reveal some new information soon. But outside of that, I do want to talk about some TUBINA politics and Big Brother Houseguests being on other shows, a number of other shows. But first, with the TUBINA stuff, I just wanted to highlight this because the uh, anti-ICE protests are going on because people have no respect for the border laws of not just America, but Western countries in general. And it's no coincidence, it just happens to be all countries that would be considered so-called white. Because when I look up news in countries considered not white countries, black, brown, Asian, yeah, they're pretty strict. And if you cause too much of a commotion, even in protest, they'll shoot you dead, like they did in Kenya not too long ago. Now, that wasn't an immigration issue, it was a financial bill issue, but still, 60 people got killed, over 300 got injured. And that was the Kenyan government pacifying Kenyans protesting. But anyway, you got this Filipina talking about you're not from here, B, because she said that a lot in the house. And then, of course, you got the woke white cuck in Tucker highlighting an Instagram story uh, being, I guess, disturbed by ICE showing up in Memphis to deport some illegals. Now, when it comes to Rabina, obviously she's a classic example of why immigrants, quite frankly, from non-white countries could never truly be assimilated to America because they always take this opposition stance against America, and it always goes back to the I hate white people narrative. Even though, as we know, people like her are the first in line to want a white man. Which brings me to Tucker, who, again, when you look up and see his mother where she lives, his father where he lives, always, it goes without fail. And where he lives, always, it goes without fail. These are people that advocate for diversity, just not where they specifically live. And that's why, quite frankly, in that state of New York that he lives in, I hope they end up electing that, I think he's running for governor or mayor, that jihadist, I think his name is Zoran, that's running for political office. It's either mayor or governor. Because what he will do is just make New York a living hell, more of a living hell. And again, I always say, the woke whites of the world, like a Tucker, they deserve the diversity they demand others to suffer from. Because I'll never forget that video in Martha's Vineyard from a couple of years ago where a Republican governor sent 50 illegals to where they resided, and immediately they got the National Guard to remove them within like 24 or 48 hours. And again, these are your main white people that's always advocating for open borders. But again, just not in their neighborhood. And so that's my 2 cents of that. Two miserable people. Hopefully their lives are a living hell as they deserve. Now, when it comes to the Big Brother Houseguests and the type of people they're casting, not only are they casting for diversity, stunt casting, but they're casting for people trying to position themselves to get on other shows. Because more and more shows, believe it or not, competition game shows has been on the rise. And even if they're only running for like one season, like Snakes in the Grass that Janelle and Rachel were on, it's still a spot that you get if you're a former Big Brother house guest that sort of checks off what they want to feature. Basically, a kiss ass of production. You know, if you don't fit the POC narrative, if you're a kiss ass of production, you're up to get on these other shows. You know, one of them that I saw recently is apparently there's a reboot to American Gladiators. And Jesse is a part of that. Now, I think he's probably one of the gladiators that would be featured on the show where regular people go and come on and compete. You know, they brought back Gladiators before where Hogan and Layla Ali were hosting, but this one is going to be on Prime Video. And, you know, Jesse is a person that, you know, Big Brother brought back a couple of times as a part of Twist. It was, for a while, expected that he would be brought back. You know, but he's been one of the few that's been routinely brought back. I mean, he was even brought on the talk show that Julie Chen used to be on. Now, he's one of the rare few. And also, I noticed Fessy is a part of the American Gladiators cast. So it's Jesse from 10 and 11 and Fessy from season 20. And we know Fessy, he's been on a number of seasons of The Challenge. But again, Jesse, he's one of the outliers of Big Brother cast who actually doesn't have the liberal politics that you expect the rest of the people that get cast to be on to have. You know, maybe that has something to do with him being cast pre Big Brother diversity. But even most of those people have the typical libtarded politics. And then on the Traitors, you have Ian and the ghetto gagger Tiffany from the Cookout season featured on this show. Now, it seems like Rob Sesternio finally was able to angle himself through shielding via RHAP, but the main thing that I'm focusing on the Big Brother people that's getting on other shows, and Ian and Tiffany are another number of house guests, former house guests, getting on other shows. You know, Tiffany, much like Devon, is the sister girl type that they like to feature. You know, plus she's a black female, so of course she's going to get on these other shows. And then Ian being on that spectrum thing, you know, that's a part of DEIA. You know, they added the A, which I think is supposed to stand for accessibility for, you know, people on the spectrum or whatever. And then I also saw that Paul from 19 and 18 is on season 3 of House of Villains. And so, in a way, when you look at all of this, you know, Challenge, also Amazing Race, again, that one season shows like Snake in the Grass, the show that Dr. Will was on, I forget the name of it, the Dill O'Neill Deal Island show. And when you see all of these shows, it just goes to show you that there's like an unofficial reality competition game circuit that exists now. And so when you hear people on the feeds talking about other shows that they see themselves being on, you know, the idea of being on other shows outside of Big Brother is no longer far-fetched. Now, it's far-fetched for certain cast members, but there are a select few where it's a very realistic possibility that they can be on other shows, and it's part of the reason why, again, Big Brother, the show itself, has tanked, because you have people, among other things, just getting on the show so they can get on other shows. They're not really fighting hard to try to win, nor do they care to win. And in the DEI era, certain house guests who are, not POCs, they fear trying to win because they saw explicitly in season 24, if you try to win as a non-POC, as they like to say, you'll get the treatment that Kyle did. But anyway, that's all I have to say about that.